What's the deal, my people? You know what it is, Don Tony Teflon, Phil the Issues guy. This is Box Office Weekly. What's going on, Phil?
Not too much. Good to be out here again talking about the top box office and top TV streaming stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. A couple of big changes, but still a lot of the usual suspects that we've seen over the last couple of weeks. But it's an interesting time in the movie industry, and I can't wait to talk about some of this stuff.
Yeah, dealing with COVID and it's still reeling from that and still seeing exactly what the norm is from that and everything else and how these numbers do stack up and everything. It's interesting to look at, especially when we deal with shows that we like too. I'm more kind of into the shows.
Yeah, we're TV people, and also just with the shifting interest in the movie landscape, where people are kind of sick of the superhero thing to a certain extent. You have to do something big and really awesome to kind of push that needle. So there's some transition in what's a successful movie right now. So you're seeing, we talked about this a little bit last week, but you're seeing so many big budget failures on the in the superhero avenue, and we still see Blue Beetle in the list, but if you look at the total gross of that, and we'll get into that later, versus the budget, it's definitely not a win. And you're seeing some shifting in the entertainment landscape, so it's a really interesting time in the box office and in the entertainment landscape in general.
And we will be here every Monday. I know it's a Tuesday due to the holiday.
It's the first day of the week.
But it'll be on every Monday, right? So definitely be here Monday, 7 p.m. That's it. Let's say what up to people who are rocking with us. What up to Carla Way, all the way from the land down under. Sonic, your boy, is up in the piece, rocking with Wolf Spear is up in here rocking with us. Luna is in here rocking with us. She does the most is rocking with us. Love Scott, my big man, is in here. Lodi Stone Hearted. Kimmy G is in here rocking with us. Thank you all for, rocking with us on this new show and series that we're doing and everything else. And you know what I mean? And let's present some of this stuff right here so the people can see exactly what is number one in the US box office right now after this weekend. And right off the bat, we can see that the Equalizer, Denzel Washington, comes back with number one. The Equalizer 3, the weekend gross was $35 million. The total gross is $42 million. What do you think about this movie, Phil?
I haven't seen it. I've seen the first two. I like them. I think it's a credit to how amazing of an actor Denzel Washington is. It's not that sometimes you forget it, but he elevates this whole movie franchise. He makes it worth watching and adds a little bit of something extra to the roles. I love how the character that he plays, he doesn't want to kill you. He doesn't want to kick your ass. He warns you a few times before he does it, but then if he does it, then he destroys you. I also want to say that this movie only cost $70 million, only $70 million to make. So a opening weekend gross in the US of $35 million, making half its budget back, bam, right away. And what I like about it too, Tony, is Denzel worked through the trenches of the acting world and really worked hard, taking like hard roles to play in deep stuff. And at the end of, not the end of his career, but at this stage in his career, after he's hit all his home runs, now he can get the franchise. Then he got to do the trilogy, relax in an action trilogy where he's running around killing everybody like Liam Neeson. And it's just cool to see him have so much fun, especially in the first two movies. You could just see with some of the amazing work. He's one of the two or three best actors in the world, and seeing him in a role like this that's so much fun, like an action over the top role, it's fun. It's awesome when you get to see actors play roles like that.
Yeah, Liam Neeson, we got to say, is the godfather of this.
Yeah, exactly.
He started it off with the old man kicking the ass with the Taken. Now there were movies before Liam Neeson, but I'm saying this last wave that we see here, it's all because of Taken. And Liam Neeson and Taken. 100%. And now it just seems like when you reach a certain age, now this is what you move into. You move into being an old man and kicking a lot of ass. And Denzel Washington, probably him, Leonardo DiCaprio. Try to think about bankable stars that if you get them, you're going to make X amount of dollars.
I guess Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Well, after that, I don't know. Top Gun, yes.
Mission Impossible, no. Yeah.
No. So, it's still hit a mix with Tom Cruise. But I would say he's close to. But those two seem to me to be the top bankable actors that you could put your money behind still to this day. Rounding up, number two was Barbie, coming in with $10 million, 612 million for the worldwide, not worldwide, but for US all the time.
Yeah, like a billion worldwide. What's interesting about that, Tony, is only 10 million is number 2. It shows you how far the box office has gone down. And Barbie's like $150 million budget or something like that. But what I think is interesting is number 2 on this box office list, Tony, still Barbie, is only $10 million in the weekend
Mhm.
gross. That just shows how few people are going to the theaters right now.
Yeah, why would you go to the theaters? Like me, I have a home theater set up that I paid a lot of money for. My TV's a lot. I'd rather watch at home. I'd rather be able to do what I want to do and everything else. It's sad that Barbie, Blue Beetle was supposed to be this big hit, and it was up there last week, but now you go, it's right back down. Still maintaining number 3 at 7.1 million, total gross at 59 million. But to me, this seems like another flop for DC.
Yeah, it really is, and especially when you think about the estimated budget of this film, Tony, is over 120 million. That's exactly. So this is a big, giant blue beetle in the toilet bowl right now. It's just someone let out a blue beetle after they had a big meal.
It definitely did, and it's supposed to be the start of the James Gunn DC, but I think that he can use it as an excuse, saying, "I really had nothing to do with this."
No, he didn't, and I think they just wanted to keep the character. We talked a little bit about this last week, where I think it was a gamble, right, Tony? He was saying, if this movie's a success, I can say, oh yeah, I came in and I produced the hell out of it and saved this from the old franchise. If not, he can say exactly what you just said. Oh, this isn't really me. My first movie in this universe is the Superman movie. I wipe my hands of this in the future Aquaman movie that comes out. And so he was, as they say in the gambling world, he was free rolling right there. So yeah. They weren't going to sit on this. They weren't going to trash this movie like they had other movies in the past. They had to release it. And Miguel is still and yes, I'm calling him Miguel, is a bankable star for his success in Cobra Kai.
Yeah, so again, we'll talk about a little bit, look back at what you're saying about the career path at Denzel. And I think that's what a lot of actors' career paths is. Like, you first get in the business, you take whatever role you can get, right? You're trying to get in there. But then you get one standout role. You could say that was maybe Glory for Denzel Washington. Yeah. He came out there to be Glory, with Glory and everything else, And thank you for the super chats, Top. I'll get to it 1 second. And then after you get roles like that, you start stepping yourself up. And if you're that good of an actor, you want to start doing Oscar-worthy movies to try to put you on the map. And he's done a billion of them, but it wasn't until he actually finally got his Oscar. I mean, he won supporting actor, right, with Philadelphia, right? He won that one. And then he would step up to best actor role. And then he kept doing Malcolm X. He got nominated. He didn't win with Malcolm X, which I thought was a travesty. He should have won that.
Oh, he definitely should have won that for that. And it was Training Day that finally got him. Right?
Training Day finally got him that. And then after that, he started doing, after he got that laurels, then he started doing independent type movies, passion projects for himself, and was rolling those like Fences and everything else, movies like that. And then after that, now he's in the stage where I'm
franchise.
Give me a franchise
movie, pay me. Next thing you know, we're gonna see him in a Game of Thrones universe, or the Star Wars universe, or the Star Trek universe, in a bit part or something. And to be fair, this is from Todd. Thank you, Todd, so much for the super chat. To be fair, Blue Beetle was originally a streaming movie. Yes, it was. I wouldn't call it a flop. It will get its money back with the streaming and merchandises. It probably won't be a complete utter disaster flop in the way that the Indiana Jones movie, but it's not the success they were hoping for and that the studio needs. I guess that's a better way of saying it.
When they put it out on the movie theater, the people who watched it thought they were going to get some cash for this. That's why they do it. It was supposed to be a stream movie, but it's all of a sudden it's not, because once you put it out there, you put it out there. Now you're saying the budget was what, 110 million?
About it says roughly 120.
So if it's around 120, you got to think that it's going to advertisement cost maybe 100 million. All right. Usually the advertisement, it costs as much as the budget. So if you put that in there, let's say 100 million in advertisement. Now you're talking about 200 and something $million. Is it going to make that $200 million back in streaming and all that? I don't think so, because a lot of the streaming that people are going to watch it's on HBO. It's going to be on there for free. So how many people are actually going to go and buy it? You know what I mean? And purchase this movie when it's on HBO. It's got a 6.7 rating. It's not helping it. It's Rotten Tomato rating. It's not helping it. So when you add all those things together, I don't think it does make all of its money back. I think it loses money for the company when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and they're just a losing money franchise at the moment, and hopefully it's not too late when I was just gonna call him Tim Gunn, when James Gunn gets in there and styles up the joint, you know. But
Well,
we'll
he'll
see.
cast his wife in a couple of roles. He'll be all right. Number 4, Gran Turismo.
Yep.
Weekend was 6.6 million. Total is 31 million. 2 weeks out. What do you think? 31 million for this movie.
Well,
Is
I
this a
mean,
hit? I can't consider it a hit at
I
31.
don't know if it's a hit, but it is on track. You got to think to make its money back. Again, I'm going by IMDb numbers, so take that what you will, people. That's the numbers I'm going by. The budget is $60 million estimated, so roughly 60 million. So again, it's made half its money back at this point in time. I don't think it's a hit, but again, it's treading water in a tough climate. The summer, and not to mention the summer's just a bad time for movies in general. They usually put those big summer hits, but the end of summer is sort of like the 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 where they used to sneak in some bad movies. I think that's part of the reason why there was so much surprise with the success of the Barbie Oppenheimer thing. We'll get to Oppenheimer in a second here, is because it was a time of year where you don't usually see big crazy movie franchise. You see them at the 4th of July. You know, you used to get the Will Smith movie every year. That was another bankable. If you're talking about stars that had bankable hit movies, he was a money printing machine for 10 plus years.
At least ever since Independent Day.
Yeah.
He became that action star, because you get these guys and you basically, like, you have certain guys in certain roles, right? So you had Arnold Schwarzenegger and then Bruce Willis and Sylvester Stallone. These are the action guys, right? So they got older and they needed new action heroes to step up and take their spots. And really, for a long time, no one stepped up and took their spots, right? Until you had Will Smith became that guy. He became the action guy. That's why The Rock got into it. The Rock realized that there was a gap when he left wrestling, that there wasn't an Arnold Schwarzenegger. There wasn't a new guy to take that role. And that was him trying to take that spot. That's why he left wrestling, just to try to get up in there.
I mean, that's how Jason Statham got a career, because no one else was doing it. He's like, I'll make a couple of these movies too. I can do it.
Yeah, that's a bankable spot. I mean, you had Steven Seagal was in there for a little bit, Chuck Norris, all those guys aged out.
And then before the years that you're talking about, before the Arnolds and Sylvesters, you had Charles Bronson and Clint Eastwood were kind of the guys, which was interesting, because then the muscles got built up. I highly recommend, if you haven't watched it and you like Arnold Schwarzenegger, there's a Netflix documentary with Arnold. The second of the 3 parts talks about his movie career, and it's just interesting to hear him talk about it and understand his own limitations, and hear other people talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger, especially James Cameron. So speaking of bankable stars, if anyone's interested in it, it's a Netflix documentary on Arnold Schwarzenegger. That and the American Gladiators one was fucking awesome.
No doubt about it. Number 5, Oppenheimer is still here, grossing 5.7 million for the week. For this weekend, total gross is 311 million. It's been out for 7 weeks. I think the thing to talk about Oppenheimer, a movie like this, is I think it's about 200 million, 300 million away from $1 billion. Do you think it's possible that this movie can somehow make?
God, I hope so, Tony, because I've talked about this. I was gonna say a couple of weeks in a row, but we've only done this one other week. I love that this movie is getting the success that it is, because it's not a big franchise movie. It's a historical drama, biopic, whatever you want to call it. It's a Christopher Nolan movie, and he's one of the last of those guys. We grew up in a generation with tons of those guys. We're talking about Malcolm X. Spike Lee was one of those guys. Scorsese was one of those guys. Tarantino, one of those guys. We grew up in a generation where you had these guys making these amazing freaking movies, and Scorsese's still doing it, and Christopher Nolan is one of those guys, and he's still doing it. And he's one of the last ones that's coming out with big budget movies like this. And it's not a superhero movie of some sort, even though there was a big explosion in it. But yeah, I think it's going to make it, to answer your question directly. And I think it's awesome that this movie was such a success. And I'm looking forward to Christopher Nolan. I'm always looking forward to Christopher Nolan movies, and this was a good one.
So Wise or Curious says first time since '04 that the top 3 grossing movies weren't sequels.
Dude, that's awesome.
That's great news. Ty Five, thank you for the super chase. I know Blue Beetle just beat Shazam's box office. I think Aquaman 2 will be the biggest flop of the entire year. Still no trailer, and it comes out in December. I think Aquaman 2 has been done for like years.
Yeah, it's been they've just been, dude, they've just been sitting on it. And Todd Fowler is 1,000 billion% right. It is going to be a giant flopping fish in the ocean, Tony. I almost think we should do a review of it when it comes out.
Well, listen, the first one was $1 billion movie. You guys said the first Aquaman hit $1 billion.
Different time, Tony. It was a different time.
I'm just saying, but it was. You got to give it the props that it deserved.
Yep.
It was $1 billion movie. And you're right about the directors. We come from the era of the superstar director, where the director was more popular than the actors, right? You know, that's now we don't have that anymore. We don't have that generation. We have some young ones that are up and coming, but you have to have a certain cachet when you reach that, when you reach the Spielbergs and the Lucases,
the Coen brothers, those dudes that we grew up. Yeah, even some of the comedy guys with the dudes that did Airplane, or the Farley brothers. Like there were always like those directors and stuff. Sorry, fire alarm's going on. Those directors and stuff were always more popular than the actors were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't know if we have that right now in this, but it's possible that it could be. So we'll see if what about Aquaman and all that. I'm just saying Shazam, it's nothing to say you beat Shazam 2. It really isn't a bragging right. You should beat Shazam 2. Shazam 2, it was terrible. It's a terrible movie. You better beat Shazam 2. After that, your movie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yep. Mutant Mayhem still there. 4.7 million. Total growth is over 100 million.
Yep, and
in 5 weeks.
It's almost guaranteed itself a sequel in the series. And I believe I was looking at this earlier. I think the movie only cost about roughly $70 million to make. So as I was saying before, as at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like you could call it, and sorry for the beeping, you could call it the franchise that won't die. You know, it just keeps going. It keeps going. And it's almost unthinkable that we're sitting here in 2023 talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem still in the top 10, still in the top 10.
Would you say it's a more bankable franchise than, say, Transformers?
I think it's done less to piss off the audience. I think Transformers sort of played out their audiences when the Ninja Turtle audience saw that those two Michael Bay-like movies weren't working. They shifted in another direction where Transformers hasn't really done much besides that. So I think right now it's a slightly more alive franchise in the sense of its steady success. But if the Transformers went away for a while and came back, I think it would be a bigger bang. I gotta step away and make sure my house isn't burning down.
Yeah, make sure your house isn't burning down, please. Let's make sure your house is not burning down. Phil's gonna go check and make sure that it's not going to die in some type of fire and everything else and all of that. We'll take some questions here while we got that going on and everything else. Right here it says, White Security says, I want to see Bottoms. I have no idea what Bottoms is.
I get an idea, but I don't want to say it here.
I'm thinking about Bottoms.
We're trying to do a family show here, Tony. Yeah, I don't want to say what.
Something else, but I think maybe it's about the underdog story.
Yeah, exactly. That's where my mind went too. But just one second to answer your question again. It's interesting, though, that it is a more bankable franchise, considering the generation that we grew up in, than the Looney Tunes at this point, than like the Disney characters like Mickey, Donald, and Goofy and all that kind of stuff. And I know they're not straight up cartoon characters, but you think about all the Tom and Jerry, like all those cartoon stuff that grew up and seemed like they were above them at the time. Ninja Turtles just kept going, like the tortoise and the hare. It just kept going and going and going. And now it's a more bankable cartoon project than any of those other 1980s, 90s cartoon after school or Saturday morning cartoon franchises that we grew up with. And so, yeah. And Bottoms, I have no clue what that is.
Yeah. When is He-Man going to make its debut? When are they really going to be able to make a He-Man motion picture?
They keep fucking the pooch with that. Obviously, they messed up with the Dolph Lundgren movie, but then they came back with that cartoon on Netflix that was trash. And that sort of kind of messed it up too. But it makes sense. I always wonder. I think they always screwed up by not casting. That first He-Man movie could have been a huge success. He-Man was a very popular.
It's got magic and technology all wrapped in one, and then not a lot of franchise has that. It's usually one or the other, and I think that's what it could be. Wolf Spear says, any word on the new Gladiator? I know it's a go, and I know they're making it. I've seen an article on it like 2 weeks ago. They're definitely doing it. There's no doubt about it. But you're not going to get Maximus, and he's dead.
No, I forget. I actually saw who was cast in it, but I'm blanking on it. It said let me see if I can look it up.
Yeah, I just don't know how that movie is appealing without Maximus. It tells you what story can you tell? Are you going to have Lucius all of a sudden become a gladiator and the same type of story? I need to see the story. Thank you for the super chat, Alexander.
Oh, Denzel Washington is cast in it. Pedro Pascal. We got again. This is attempted. The two big stars are Denzel and Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, if it was Denzel, then it would be amazing.
Okay, that'll do it.
Alexander Wilson, thank you for super chat. Have y'all watched the TV show The Bear? I do like The Bear. I thought The Bear was a great show, season 1 and season 2.
Yeah, season 2 is amazing, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Jamie Lee Curtis as and again, spoiler alert, but I'm not going to say anything. In season 2, she plays an amazing character, like a really amazing character, and I hope she wins an award for it.
All right, we're gonna go right past the bottoms, but that's number 7, 3 million total million, 4.4 million. Listen, if the weekend gross was 3 million, the total gross is 4.4. That means that it got more popular this week, right? I mean, over double the people went to go see this movie than they did when it was first released, meaning that word of mouth about this movie is that it's good and it's getting people in the theaters.
Yeah, bottoms. Like, is it let me click on it. What is it? It is a 2 unpopular high school students start a fight club to have sex before graduation. Okay.
All right, there you go. The bottoms.
Okay, I guess we were right.
We were right about the bottoms. God damn it. Number 8, Meg 2, The Trench. Weekend gross 2.8 million. Total gross 79 million. I mean, these B movies for this dude, Jason, it just keeps rolling the Meg.
Yeah, it's amazing. We talked about this a lot last week. This is that we talked about the impetus of the Liam Neeson started the old man beating people up trend. You could say that. Oh my God, it's really loud here tonight. You could say that Sharknado started this, or this is just the reliving of Jaws for another generation. Either way, it says a lot that Meg 2.
It can't be Jaws, because Jaws was critically acclaimed.
Especially the first one, and the second one was good because you had Roy Scheider in there, so you made sure that they were. And Steven Spielberg directed them. It wasn't until you got to Jaws 3, Tony, where you got the 3D one. And
that's when they started getting silly, right?
And then part 4 with Michael Caine, where he's in the water and his freaking shirt isn't even wet, Tony.
Yeah, it's the success of Jaws. I think Jaws 1 was the fact that you never showed you the shark.
Nope.
Right. You never seen the shark in Jaws 1. You just seen the aftermath. You seen the blood. You knew it was there. But I think it was the fact that you didn't see it. The Meg is based on seeing this big ass shark. Like they go
flopping around. Yeah, jumping around and flopping around and shit.
That was it. Number 9, another very bad movie. That is Strays. I mean, according to I'm saying bad, for what they put the money out to make it and everything. Still pulled in 2.6 million, but 21 million in 3 weeks. Just a disgusting flop on the resume right there.
Yeah, it's wasn't marketed well. These kind of movies, I feel like these adult talking movies, what's the point of even putting them in the theater? This smells to me that this would have been a great Netflix release. And they tried to sneak it in the theater because Jamie Foxx and Will Ferrell were both number ones at point in times. Even though right now, Jamie Foxx is a game show host. Hope he's doing well health-wise, but when he's healthy, he's a game show host. He hosts that show with his daughter, the music bingo show, and he's semi-retired from acting to a certain extent because that's what you do, Tony. You're talking about career tracks. You make it. You work super hard in sketch comedy. You work yourself up. You become like a 9-tool star that you have amazing abilities. You have an epic, crazy role that you win awards for, and then when stuff starts pettering off, you voice a dog with Will Ferrell in the movie Strays. And that's the end goal of a career too. You've made so much success that you're just at like, oh, this seems fun. And you got to figure that both those guys are kind of at that point. So they probably are going in this not thinking it's a success. They're just doing it for a paycheck.
Yeah, Carla Way says, LOL, I accidentally took my kids to see Strays. A lot of families did. Big mistake. I guess it's a lot more sexually provoking than you would think from these dogs hanging out there. And everything else. So, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people made that mistake. The top in 10 is Talk to Me, 1.8 million, 45 million gross. It's been out there for six weeks. I can't see that spending a lot of money to make this movie. So you have to say that the fact that it's still in the top 10 is a success for that movie, especially a horror franchise.
Absolutely. This was only $4.5 million estimated to make it, and it's grossed.
So it's a huge hit for that studio.
Huge hit. 63 million worldwide. Huge hit.
Yeah, that's a huge hit. That's the top 10 list for that real quick. Let's get rid of that top 10 real quick. Let me see if we could pull up. KP said he left the voicemail. Let's see if we could pull up his voicemail real quick.
And he's saying also he thinks Aquaman will surprise us. I mean, that's what they're hoping from the DC universe, in the sense that one of these movies was going to surprise them. That's their whole point of releasing Blue Beetle and Aquaman, and not just cutting their losses on that one like they did with a couple of other projects. It's that they're hoping that these movies, that they're free rolling them. Free roll. They got the free play at the casino. These movies are made. They're completed. They've been completed forever. Stall while they can work out his Superman whatever script that there is. So it gives them an opportunity to do it.
No doubt about it. All right, let's take a look at listen to KP's voicemail. Again, you can call in and leave one for yourself. Let's listen to it. Pretty long.
Tony, Phil, Karen here. Listen, question. So all the new blockbuster movies, to have a blockbuster movie now, you have to spend $250 million and another $100 million on marketing. And from what I've seen, you'll need to make $600 million or so to break even on a movie that costs you $250 million. These are really large numbers, really, really large. And it has created a situation where every year you have less and less movies that are interesting. And even the really expensive movies sometimes are interesting, like fucking Black Adam. That was some shit. My question is this shit sustainable? And because is it sustainable? And if not, when are they going to realize that Blumhouse has the right idea? Make a movie for $5 million, put it out there, but it makes $30 million. That's a 600% return on your money. You're good. Why do they feel as though they need to spend all this amount of money to have a quote-unquote hit? Tell me. Tony, Phil, love you motherfuckers. Keep it easy. Stay gangster.
I appreciate the call. I think that it goes back to the Avengers and these movies franchise. Once they seen that Avengers movie make $1 billion, when they seen that, and then how much money that whole MCU started, because it wasn't like Iron Man didn't take off like that when they first started. And all those movies were making money. Captain America wasn't a huge hit when it came. It wasn't $1 billion movie. It was that Avengers movie when you got the gang together that went off and made that $1 billion. And then ever since then, everyone got greedy and trying to duplicate this whole situation. And I think we're at a point where comic book fatigue is setting in. What do you think?
It's a copycat league. They say this in sports, but it's true in movies more than anything. And because of the successes of those other big studios with sinking those big monies into that franchise, which let's not get through this. There was a reason why that was the first time something like that was successful in a long time. Some could argue the Planet of the Apes movies, the original ones, did that, but those were almost B movies on that level. But like the way that Marvel sort of led that all thing, it was almost everything had to work out, and not everything worked out. They lost Edgar Wright on the Ant-Man project that was supposed to be in the first cycle. Edward Norton busted out in the Hulk movie, and they sort of needed to homogenize their movies a little bit and not get individuals as much on it. And the second phase with Iron Man 2 was a little bit of a stumbling block, so it wasn't as clear even getting in there. But I think the answer to why they put that budget is it's a copycat league, and the studios see another studio making money, and those dudes aren't that smart in the sense of where they put their money. They're like, oh, we put more money, but it's not a sustainable model. To go to his other part of his question, Tony, it's not a sustainable model, and when these movies keep flopping like this, they'll change and go back to the way it maybe was in the 70s and early 80s, where it was more spend as little as you can, and these hungry young directors that need to put projects together, and those movies have just as much of a chance of hitting as big budget movies. It's a good thing.
Barbie. Look at Barbie. Barbie didn't cost as much as that,
like
but
145 million or something.
But it had a great premise. You had a great star. She was a producer of the flick, and they promoted one of the greatest promotions, I would say, of movie history was the Barbie promotion. It got everyone hyped to go see this Barbie movie too. So I think that you have to look at Barbie now that they've seen that. And again, you look at Top Gun. Why did Top Gun was successful? Tom Cruise. It was nostalgia. It was that old Top Gun movie. People liked it. They remembered it. And even when you went and seen the movie, it felt like an 80s flick movie.
Yeah, it felt like watching Cobra Kai in that sense. And the thing that I want to make sure, Tony, because you cannot be more correct about the Barbie thing and but I hope what the studios are going to learn from that was, people don't care about superheroes anymore. They care about toys. Here we go. We got to put the Fisher-Price Boombox movie coming out. It's the Fisher-Price Boombox movie. It's a sentient boombox walking through neighborhoods. Hi, everybody. I'm a boombox. Like, they're going to think that, not look at that. What they did was essentially get a Martin Scorsese like, or I'm not comparing necessarily this, but someone that's passionate about their work and puts their all into it and had a vision for that particular movie. And whether you think it was a success or not, I think it was a success. It was a vision that got put onto screen and was perfectly delivered. And that should be the message of it, not an assembly line studio picture. But what they're going to see, Tony, I'm afraid of, is, it's just another bankable franchise, and we need to make the Hungry Hippos movie next.
Yeah, there's no nostalgia there. Again, Barbie, every little girl in the world owned the Barbie doll, right? Everyone. Any little girl in this world. There's not someone in this chat or anywhere that has not owned the Barbie doll at least once in their life.
Right? I owned one for G.I. Joes to beat up on.
Yeah, when you have that, you get the hit movie. Now, G.I. Joe, you could have, if you did a good movie, and it's a good movie, Barbie. It's not a shitty movie.
No, it's a very good
word of mouth gets around about it, and it has female empowerment. It's a whole bunch of things that made Barbie a hit.
Do you remember the movie? It was with Phil Hartman, was with Robin Williams, who was called like Small Soldiers, where these little soldiers came alive and if that movie was a G.I. Joe movie, that would have been a very successful movie. If they had just turned those toys into G.I. Joes that come alive and capture a bunch of people, and Phil Hartman's in it, it's crazy, blah, blah, blah. I don't know who else is in that movie. I don't think it's Robin Williams, but it was a funny movie.
Yeah, Will Smith's like, we need a good Predator Alien movie. Those, when they came out, were cutting edge for the time, right? So you need, like, when you look at a movie like Alien, it was coming off of The Thing, right?
Yep.
So it was drawing off of that. The Thing, this could be the horror movie of all time. Debatable. The Thing could be the greatest horror movie of all time. I think that if people never seen The Thing, you have to go see that movie. But I think that when you have a movie like that, you know what I mean? You didn't see, again, it was the fact, even Nightmare on Elm Street, you didn't see the creature right away.
Not in that first movie. What was interesting about him is he was in the shadows. He didn't talk. And you can think, I love Freddy. I love when Freddy's funny, but he lost his scary when you finally saw him. And for Jason, you saw his face in every goddamn movie. Like if they at least skipped a movie or something like that. Someone asked me, why was I beating up I'd have karate tournaments and wrestling matches, and they were all part of everyone would fight everybody. It would be a big fight. So yeah.
No doubt about it. All right, let's
and Prey was a good, someone said Prey could have been in the theater. Prey was a good movie, but it definitely had more of a independent movie kind of feel to it. But I definitely did enjoy watching Prey. It was the first Predator movie I've liked in a long time, actually.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. We'll go to real quick, the worldwide box office. Take a look at this real quick. So this worldwide for the whole year of 2023. Right now, we see that Barbie is leading the way with over $1 billion.
Ooh, it passed the Super Mario Bros. movie.
Past the Super Mario Brothers movie. That's number 2.
Tony, I have a question for you.
Oppenheimer at number 3 is just amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And Oppenheimer is the offshoot because if you look at the rest of these, they are big franchise movies that sell a lot. I do want to talk just because we started doing this after the success of it. The Super Mario Brothers movie, I know it wasn't necessarily for you. It wasn't a movie meant for you in that sense, or meant for most adults that aren't Nintendo sluts like myself. Do you think it's a sign of the fact that other video game franchises will use the success of this movie to make more loyal adaptations, and we'll actually see more huge video? Will we see a Zelda movie? Will we see a Metroid movie? Will we see Devil May Cry movie? Maybe there already was. Will we see some other big video game franchises bounce off the success of the Super Mario?
Yeah, Metroid could be the flop, so I wouldn't do Metroid because I could see how that wouldn't go. I would like to see Metroid, but I could see how that doesn't work. You definitely got to get a Zelda movie. It's coming up, but it's how you're going to do it. Are they going to do it live action? Are they going to do a cartoon version? But you're definitely going to get a Zelda movie. It's been in the works for so many years. People want to see it. And again, when you have the success of The Last of Us, finally, someone who's working on the movie, who is working from the game, and they come out there and they make it right. That is how everything goes. You know what I mean? So you got to have people who actually care about it. Yeah, the Halo wasn't good, I think, because of the streaming service that they put it out on and everything else. I think that ruined it.
Oh yeah, there was a Halo series, right?
Yeah, that ruined it and everything.
Tony, before we go too far, we missed Luna's super chat. I want to make sure we get to it.
Sorry. Yeah. It says, how do you think the COVID era has changed not only attendance, movies, and TV taste? I believe they now recognize power and finally recognize. I believe they now fans.
I mean, I definitely think it's changed in the sense that people need to be excited to go see a movie, even more so. Movies were always event pictures. Someone in the live chat, I just want to give credit to who was saying it. It might have been Todd, was saying that they just like the experience of going to a theater. I do too, but and I do like sitting at home watching a movie on my big screen. I don't have quite of an amazing studio like Tony does, but even on my crappy 57-inch television, 59-inch television, it's still sometimes better than a movie because I can smoke, I can eat, I can whatever. But there is something about the movie theater experience. But I think event type movies, big situations that require you to go to the theater is what drives people more to the theater now. It's not as much of a, hey, what do you want to do? Hey, Tony, I'm in town. What do you want to do tonight? Oh, let's go to a movie. That wouldn't happen. We go do something else. We do an escape room. We go play pool. We go to a bar, go to listen to some live music or something. Mm-hmm. It's the movie is very far down on that list when at a certain point in time, it was the only thing to do. What do you do? And I think even right up to the beginning of COVID and stuff, it was trending down a little bit, but that was the final thing. It's like, no, I don't want to sit in a movie theater for an hour.
Not with these people. I mean, I have screamed at so many people at movie theaters.
Yeah, kids talking and shit
around doing stuff. I think it was this COVID. It's all the experience. A lot of these movie theaters. Now, listen, you go to there are beautiful movie theaters out there. Beautiful, nice chairs. You could order wine in some of these. You could order beer.
You can order dinners, full dinners.
They got really good food and everything else. But the majority of them are not like that. They're old. This screen suck. The chairs shitty. You know what I mean? You're getting stale popcorn in them and everything else. It's just not a great viewing experience. And why pay when you pay so much for streaming services, so much for your television set, so much for your surround sound? Now you can kick back. If you like to smoke, you can smoke. You can pause it when you want to pause it. Yep. You can go to the bathroom. You don't have to rush around. You can get all the movies, all the snacks you want. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. You don't have to buy this big ass soda. You can buy everything you want in your house and just chill. That is what is going on, and that the movie theater experience itself is not good. If I go to a movie theater, I only go to the IMAX theater. Number one. and I'll go to a drive-in movie theater.
Drive-ins are kind of cool. Like they're retro and cool.
Yeah, that's why I do it. You know, I
Would
just do
you,
it
if
for
movie
old.
theaters did premieres of television series, would you go to the movie theater to watch the From premiere or something like that? If they did something like, or the House of Dragons premiere of a season, if they were doing premieres in the theaters and stuff, would that be enough to get you to go to a theater?
I don't know. No, not unless I had a shit ton of people going with me. You know what I mean? Like if we did it, like say we had the con and we could premiere it on the big screen, we could all be there, all the fans, and yes, but not stranger fans, not fans that are strangers. It's not fun then. It's just
stranger danger. No, I hear you. No, I'm with you.
I remember when the hell is that? Elder Scrolls came out, right?
Yep.
The last one that just came out. That's
Skyrim.
And I remember I was with this girl at the time, and I had to wait. I waited, you know, at least like 1 a.m.
You did the midnight wait in line. Yeah, I've done those.
And it was in the winter. It was freezing outside. So I remember I went up there, and she was in the car with me. She was very upset that she had to wake up and go out there with me. She could stay there at home. But anyway, she decided to go out there with me. So I get out there. And I'm standing out there, and there's like 15 people out there. And this one guy was dressed up. He had like aluminum foil on his head. He had a tin trash can lid with the handle for a shield. And she just said, "Get the fuck out the car and go stand with your buddies over there."
Tony, I think that was me. I think that was me.
Go stand with your brethren. Those are your people. Those are the ones who up. I was like, I'm not getting out this car.
I'll get it tomorrow.
I'm not.
Okay, fine. I'll get it tomorrow.
I went out there and got my goddamn. I took a week off of work to play that game. Holy
dude, I've done that too before.
That's what I do. But that's what it is. So if like the other people in the chat, like they're my people, I'll go out there and stand with you, but I can't stand with these dudes. The
Todd Fowler is a friggin' amazing. The 5th time I saw Blue Beetle in the cinema, people were talking a lot. I think The Killers of the Flower Moon will be the film of the year.
Oh, I've seen it 5 times. Okay?
That's what I'm saying. Are you serious?
I liked it. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
That's good. I'm going to give it a shot just because of Todd Fowler. I'll watch it when it comes out.
Oh yeah, Killers of the Flower Moon is definitely going to be the movie of the year. It's Martin Scorsese's next movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro. It's going to be a movie like it's members of the Osage tribe in the United States are murdered under a mysterious circumstance in the 1920s, sparking a major FBI investigation involving J. Edgar Hoover. But I think it's the first time that Martin Scorsese's worked with both his binkies, Leonardo DiCaprio and De Niro in the same movie.
So real quick, it got the Oppenheimer buzz, but do you think it falls short because Oppenheimer had Barbie? It was a dual thing that people went to go see Oppenheimer and Barbie, like Barbenheimer. They're not going to have this for that movie.
But we got Leonardo DiCaprio, Tony. We got Leo.
I don't know if Leo's just saying that. Jackie C, it's the only way. I'm not paying $10 for a small bag of chocolates that I could buy $3 at the grocery store. Again, these are all things that movie theater. I think with movie theater, they want to make money. This is what you got to do for me. I would say give me a pay-per-view movie release. You could charge me $80 for the same weekend, but I get to watch the movie once at home, like a pay-per-view movie. Like a pay-per-view would be for a boxing match would be about $80. Yeah, I'll buy it for $80. You give it to me for $80. I'll stay home and give you the $80 and stay home and watch the movie. Because I'd rather do that. What about that? What if they did a pay-per-view movie release? Say it cost you, a movie came out, you could watch it right when it come off, it's gonna cost you $80 to watch that movie. Would you be interested in something like that?
I would do that. We were talking a little bit about something like that last week, but I would also want the ability for that $80 to watch it, to be able to watch it as many times. Like I own it and I can watch it as many times as I want. But I can also, it's good for one ticket in the theater if I want to go.
No, that's too much. You're asking for too much, Phil.
Give me that Tony, for $80. I would have.
When you watch a pay-per-view fight, it's $80 and it's just one night and that's it.
But it's a sporting event. It has that once in a lifetime, exciting, in the moment experience. I think half the reason why you get pay-per-view, even if you get friggin' WrestleMania, it's so that you're part of watching that event moment and that moment live in that 2nd. Shouldn't the movie feel like that?
In that moment? It should, but
should, it's gotten to a point now where it feels more like you're going to the record store and you're buying an album, in a sense, if in that sense, like you're purchasing that and you're owning that. But you're right, Tony. The excitement used to kind of feel like that because you would watch it in the movie theater that one time, and then you wouldn't be able to watch it again for years. Maybe you'd see it on TV. How I remember when the Star Wars movies came back to the theater in the 90s. In our lifetime, that was the first time I remember a movie coming back to the movie theaters.
Now, and again, they're so fast to hit that streaming service. Like, I can just wait 4 more weeks. I could wait 5 weeks.
It's so quick, Tony. So
Barbie's about to come out in streaming. About to see it.
Sport, and again, I know not everyone's a sports fan, and there are other things, but I think sports is one of the last big entertainment appointment viewing things that exist right now. Sometimes television does big live events that only exist in live moments, but and then you could say maybe award shows are if you're into that, but there's something about event watching, and I think specifically throughout the ages, boxing, that's why it makes such a great boxing and makes such great movies. But and that's why people pay so much for pay-per-view, because you feel like you're in the middle of a happening. And it's been a while since movies feel like that. Star Wars was one of the last things that did it, but they pushed it too far and made people feel like it's less special. I feel like the Star Wars movies were one of the last times where when you're going to the movies, you feel like you're going to see something really special. Maybe Avengers Endgame a little bit, but not completely, to a certain extent, I guess.
I mean, the last Star Wars, look how many people came out to go see it. I mean, I'll put the all-time numbers up real quick, but let's go through the top 10 real quick. Guardians of the Galaxy, Fast X5, 6 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, 7 is The Little Mermaid. See, Little Mermaid gets a lot of slack, but it's still the 7th big movie of the year. So, Mission Impossible, 8, Elemental is 9, 10 is Ant-Man and the Wasp at 400 million. Now, when we talked a little bit. Let's go to all-time numbers real quick.
Yep.
And we talked a little bit about this thing, right? Lifetime gross record holder. This is domestic. Is it saying domestic? Yeah,
okay, it says domestic worldwide. Okay.
It would have to go worldwide.
Go Toy Story 4. Jesus, Toy Story franchises. Talk about a crazy, amazing. Phil, they brought Halloween, Rocky Horror, Little Shop of Horrors, Young Frankenstein back in theaters numerous times in my town. That is amazing, and I like that. I feel like more movies. I would go to the movies more often to see older, big movies rather than modern movies. Or if I would even pay to go binge watch a season of a television show in the movie theater, pay like $50 and go watch a season of Game of Thrones in the theater or something. Like I do something like that if a movie theater did that. I don't have much of a life. I'd go sink 8 hours. What is it? 10? I don't know how many 10 hours of my life into that.
So it's saying here, this is the top lifetime grosses of movies. Avatar: Way of Water, number 1.
Yep.
Is it really?
Yep. And in number 2 is freaking actually, no, that's 3 and 4. Why is it starting with 3?
Yeah. Why is it starting at 3 and 4? Where's number 1? Why aren't they that? I know that couldn't be number 1. Why did they not have?
But look at James Cameron right
there.
Yeah,
James Cameron. Number 3 was going to start.
Where's Where's Terminator 2? I bet it's somewhere in there too.
Yeah, so we got Avatar: Way of Water, number 3, Titanic, number 2, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, number 5, Avengers: Infinity War dropped down to number 6, still $2 billion.
Yeah,
Spider-Man: No Way Home, almost $2 billion. Jurassic World,
that made that much money. Star Wars: No Way Home, wow.
Yeah, it did. The Lion King, $1.5 billion. The Avengers, that other movie, that $1 billion and a half. Furious 7, $1.5 billion. Top Gun: Mavericks, almost $1.5 billion. Frozen 2, Age of Ultron, Avengers. And when you look and you start seeing these Avenger movies, Black Panther, you see why they go for this big budget thing. Because if you look at all these movies, you got 1 of the 2, 3, 4, 5 of these movies are comic book movies in this top 18. You know what I mean? So that's why they're going that route with it, thinking that that's the way to go with it and everything else.
And they're all Marvel
Yeah, there's
Barbie.
no other franchise when you really deal with that more friend. Hey, Barbie's up there. Barbie number 15.
Yeah, Barbie's right up there.
All time.
Super Mario Brothers movie again. I don't want to undersell how successful that movie was because Barbie's sort of trumping it at this point in time. But Super Mario Brothers movie breaking that video game curse movie thing big time with success.
Again, you got Captain America: Civil War, Aquaman, The Lord of the Rings, Skyfall, Spider-Man, Captain Marvel. So when you start seeing all these movies, they're all comic book movies, and that's why they kept doing it. Jurassic World, Jurassic Park's an amazing
Wow.
franchise.
Scroll down a little bit because you were right. If we're looking in this big top list, not all of these are great movies, but you were mentioning Aquaman 2, and Aquaman is on this list. Where's it?
Yeah,
Number 20,
number
28.
28. Number 28, Aquaman. So The Dark Knight Rises is 1 billion. That's Nolan's most successful movie of all time. Let's see if he can beat that. Joker, $1 billion. Toy Story 4 and 3 over $1 billion a piece. Pirates of the Caribbean, people forget how popular that was. But a lot of this stuff was just all franchise movies. It seems like
There's The Dark Knight at 52, number 52 for The Dark Knight. Jesus.
So
Lots of Harry Potter.
a lot of Harry Potter when you go down there. Pirates, everything almost $1 billion.
A lot of Lord of the Rings and all the Hobbit movies and such as well. Shrek 2.
And then you get the Battle of Lake Champlain. I have no idea what that is. The Secret Life of Pets, 75. Spectre, Spider-Man: Homecoming.
That was a surprise.
Wolf Warrior 2. What is that? Hunger Games. Black Panther.
But Wolf Warrior 2, I don't know what it is, but it was successful enough to get a sequel, Tony.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell it is, but I don't know what Wolf Warrior 1 wasn't that successful.
E.T.
That's what I know about
E.T. was a smash hit back then, 700 million.
I wonder if
That
this
was
is
a
taken into
smash
account.
hit.
Do you think this is taking into account inflation success?
No, because if that was the case, then Gone on the Wind would be number one.
Yeah. Or
if you took count inflation, Gone with the Wind is still the number one movie of all time. I don't even think it's close.
it's probably that or Citizen Kane, maybe, or
no, it's that Gone with the Wind. That damn Gone with the Wind. Hey, Google it if you can real fast.
Yeah, I'll try.
How much Gone with the Wind? Do inflation to see how much Gone with the Wind would be worth right now. It's definitely going to be number one. That movie, and the reason why, we talk about Gone with the Wind and movies like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's number one is Gone with the Wind. Number 2 is Star Wars. Number 3 is The Sound of Music. Number 4 is E.T. Extraterrestrial. Number 5 is still freaking Titanic. Number 6 is The Ten Commandments. Number 7 is Jaws, and number 8 is Dr. Zavanko. And
Gone with the Wind was the biggest movie that ever was released in the world. Gone with the Wind. It was, and again,
The Exorcist is there. Snow White runs in at number 10. Estimated, it would be like 184 million at this point.
How much we're going? They say how much Gone with the Wind? It have to be like $4 billion.
I'll get to it. Let me see. Gone with the Wind. Estimated admissions 201,000 people, non-adjusted domestic. Blah, blah, blah. It's estimated it would be making $1.81 billion in modern ticket prices whenever this article was written. That's how successful it would be at this point in time if it came out today. This article was written in 2019. So
yeah, no, Gone with the Wind is amazing. French.
The Exorcist is on. Someone said The Exorcist. The Exorcist is number 9 on the list. It's the top 10 again is, and this is with inflation, would be Gone with the Wind number 1 by a lot over the next one, which is Star Wars, then Sound of Music, then E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Titanic, the Ten Commandments, Jaws, Dr. Zavanko, The Exorcist number 9, and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs at number 10.
Is this a call-in live stream? It is a call-in live stream. You could call in the Phil's number if you know it, or you can call in this one, whichever number you want to use. You could definitely call in. Let me see if I could put the banner on the bottom.
Don't talk The Exorcist. It makes me and absolutely too grown for you. When we look at top lists, it's amazing when you think of the ones that have busted through. The Hangover, Ghostbusters, I believe, did too. When comedies bust through, it's not often when they do, and it says a lot. Sometimes dark comedies push through, but realistically, the top lists are never comedies. And when people talk about some of the best movies of all time, they don't give the credit. And I think comedies, it's just because they're too divisive. You can't tell somebody else what's funny. As much as I want to say Groundhog's Day is a brilliant comedy movie, someone can turn and be like, I think that movie's stupid. I don't find it funny at all.
Let me, I'm just going to put your number. What's the number again?
781
781
990 8509.
8509.
I love Bad Santa too, but I could, if someone told me they didn't find it funny, it's hard to argue with them because you can't tell somebody, oh, that's funny. I mean, I would argue so many movies are like perfect comedies, perfect Spinal Tap's a perfect documentary kind of stuff. But not everyone's gonna find that funny. Not everyone's gonna get that jokes because they weren't in bands and shit. Like
exactly.
So
all right, moving over to streaming. We are here now. This is the week of July 31st to August 6th. Again, Nielsen is always behind, so it's never on time. It's always a few weeks behind. So if you're looking for a show that just came out, it's not going to be there. This is July 31st.
And I have a list for afterwards that's more modern, and we can double check the math when we catch up to it to make sure it's right. But I have a list that I'm going to read after we're done with this one.
All right. So number 1 is Suits, Netflix. Number 2, again, Netflix, Lincoln Lawyer. This is the overall chart. Disney Plus, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And then it's Bluey on Disney Plus. Netflix, Sweet Magnolias. Peacock, Super Mario Brothers movie. Netflix, The Witcher. This is combining movies and television shows. Paramount, CIS again for Paris. NCIS is the franchise. Netflix, Coco Melon, and then number 10 is Grey Anatomies. Anything shock you from this list?
Not really. It's good to see the Guardians of the Galaxy up towards the top of the list. Tony, from PCMagazine.com, if we want to get some modern shows, and we'll see in a couple of weeks if they're actually back up the numbers. But the top new shows at the moment right now are Ahsoka on Disney Plus, Only Murders in the Building, Who is Erin Carter on Netflix, Suits on Netflix, Special Ops Lioness on Paramount, Dark Winds, number 6, number 7, Painkillers, number 8, a show you should all check out because Tony's covering it, Invasion on Apple Plus, number 9, Harren Coben's Shelter, and number 10, Justified. So are you excited to see that Invasion is on this list, Tony? And that
I am. I wish more people would be into it and stuff. But it's it's a slower show. It's not a show with a lot of action and everything else that you would think it should have. It's a slower show, so I can understand why people. I think if you give the actors a chance, it's a really good, well-written show. You just got to give it a chance. But I just think that the lack of action makes people not want to watch it.
And also watch Changelings. Tony's covering that show.
Yeah, Changeling will be this Friday. We'll start that and everything else. For the original list, the originals right now for the week July 31st, August 6th, we have The Lincoln Lawyer, Sweet Magnolias, and The Witcher. First thing from Prime is here for Good Omens, Hulu, Futurama, Prime again, The Summer I Turned Pretty, Paramount Plus, Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, Apple TV, Hijacked, Prime Video, Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, Peacock, Twisted Metal. All right, let's start. I know you're a big Star Trek fan. Strange New Worlds this season, how is it?
It's pretty good. It's not as good as the last season of Picard, but it's been a pretty good season of Strange New Worlds. I don't hate the show as much as I sort of got a dislike for Discovery, but it's in the first 2 seasons of Picard. But coming off the high of the last season of Picard, it's not good. But what I do want to talk about on this list, and I don't know if you ever got into it, the season of Futurama on Hulu has really held up. It's good to have the crew back. I love all those actors and they do a great job together. And this is one of the better of the reunions that they did. So thank you, Hulu, for bringing back some of these old cartoon series. You did it with, and some of these reunions of cartoon series have been pretty good. I don't know if you've watched any of the Beavis and Butthead return, it's actually been pretty freaking funny. It's not smart. It's not great. It's not, much in high art, but it's not bad. It's surprising how well Beavis and Butthead hold up in this generation. But I have to applaud Futurama, and I'm glad to see it's getting some successes.
I hear you. All right, guys, going to The last thing on this list it goes down to acquired shows. Acquired shows. And that is Netflix. Number one is Netflix Peacock Suits.
What
Disney
does
Plus,
acquired shows like mean? They probably bought it from
they
somebody else.
bought them from another network
Like
and moved them over.
the way Scrubs was bought from NBC to ABC, I believe, or something.
Yes, and you got Disney Plus Bluey, Netflix Paramount, NCIS, Netflix Coco Melon, Netflix Grey's Anatomy. Obviously, Grey's Anatomy is an ABC show, that bought by Netflix. Hulu, Netflix, and Paramount Plus all bought SWAT. They all wanted a piece of SWAT.
Yeah.
Max Friends is still there. Number 7, Paramount Plus Prime Video, SpongeBob SquarePants. That's probably a babysitting show right there.
Yeah.
Hulu, Netflix, Peacock, Heartland, and top 10 is Gilmore Girls on Netflix. The Gilmore Girls.
Tony, I highly recommend everyone look up on YouTube when you're done with this video and make sure you like and subscribe to Teflon TV and Fill the Issues guy as well. But after you're done that, look up the SpongeBob SquarePants theme song backwards. I have to thank our good friend, the lovely Miss Smokahontas, for sending me a message with the backwards SpongeBob SquarePants. And it's pretty fucking twisted. It says some pretty dirty stuff, Tony.
Is it really?
It seems intentional. I almost want to look this up right now, Tony. It's pretty just to read it. It's bad stuff.
Is it real?
Yeah, I think so. It sounds real. It sounds real. I'll play it for you after we're done tonight. When we're in the post-show discussion.
Maybe we'll have to play it during the show.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Let me see if I can get.
All right, and we'll go through top 10 movies on streaming right now. Again, number 1 is Disney Plus's Guardian of the Galaxy. Number 2, Peacock, the Super Mario Brothers movie, which is a big thing because you've seen how far it was up on the list, and still there's still an audience for it on streaming after all its money it's made. Still shows you how many people still didn't go out to see the movie and waited for it to come on streaming.
Yeah, and how people are taking in media even more so in that way right now. It absolutely says that, and it shows that a movie can be a success without doing well in the theaters at this point.
Netflix, Happiness for Beginners. Netflix, number 4, Hidden Strike. Number 5, Paramount Plus, Transformer: Rise of the Beasts. Again, people waited for that to come out. They didn't want to pay that money. Netflix for Taylor. Netflix, Miraculous, Ladybug and Cat Noir, the movie. Netflix, Jesus Revolution. Netflix, River Wild, and Netflix, They Clone Tyrone. And that is all of the Nielsen ratings for this week, which I think everything there is what you would expect to be at this particular time and everything.
Absolutely. And I think if we're going into right now, you would see that a lot of people are finally watching the Flash movie, which we should probably talk about a little bit here because I did finally watch. I don't know if you got a chance to watch the Flash.
I did watch the Flash movie. I did. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, what'd you think about it?
I thought that I just don't like Ezra Miller as the Flash. I just don't like him as it. So when I just can't get into it.
And spoiler alerts for the Flash. We were going to spoil the Flash, and you get goddamn 2 of them. So you're double fisting it. It was cool to see Michael Keaton play Batman.
That obviously nostalgia, right? So it's cool to see that and everything else. I don't like this guy as the Flash. I think he's poorly casted as the Flash, and I think that's what hurts it. I just don't think he's the Flash. When I think of Barry Allen from the comic books that I've read my whole life, it's not Ezra Miller. That's not the way he acts. And when he runs, he looks crazy. He's like he doesn't even. He runs. His arms are like this.
The running looks weird. The running definitely looks weird.
If you're the Flash, the number one thing you gotta do is look cool running. All right. If you can't look cool running, then why are you running?
Wolf Stare asked who would make about Grant got the kid that plays him on the show. I know you're gonna hate me for this, but I think the kid that plays him on the show does a better job playing the Flash.
He does do a better job. It's
not a better show. The show is CW trash. I'm just saying him playing the Flash does a better job, like in the motions when he's running. Jay Garrett, the guy that's the 70s Flash, does a better job than that kid.
Yeah, he's better. Even the guy who plays the Reverse Flash, he's better.
Tony's nephew dressed up like the Flash on Halloween does a better job. I don't know if you have a nephew. I'm just picking a random kid. Anybody does a better job than this kid running.
He's terrible.
He's terrible.
He's terrible. All right, let me see. KP said he left a couple of voicemails.
Yeah, I think I have one voicemail too. So play his if you can, and then just in case it's similar. Are you 868 Luna, or is that KP?
No, KP's 868.
868. Okay, I got a message from AC. Oh my God, Tony, that SpongeBob! Absolutely. Thank you, Lady Stoneheart, for listening to it. She checked out the spot. It's got to be intentional, right? It's got to be intentional. It's like I can't even quote it because it's wait. Sorry, I'll turn down my volume so you don't have to listen to a commercial. It's pretty dirty. It's like I know this has been done, but this version is funny. It says some dirty stuff, Tony.
I play it. Let's hear it.
Because you can't really hear it. You almost need to read it and stuff like that. But
let's hear a little bit of this. SpongeBob.
It's like froze these nuts, grab these boobs.
I don't know. It's too hard to hear.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's almost check it out yourself. It's too hard to hear.
Yeah, go take a listen to SpongeBob SquarePants fans go backwards.
Backwards.
Yeah. Do you have something from KP? You saying?
I think so. Let me see if I can
play that one.
Hello, this is the voice of 916.
Oh my God!
How did you get all discussing our favorite topics of movies and TV? I think my biggest issue with movies is that there's no movies for grown folks. I don't want to see superhero. I don't want to see any silly little movie. I want to see a movie that has some depth to it.
Yeah.
That has some entertainment and talent and creativity to it.
Mm.
Those are my biggest issues. And because there's so few of those available now,
I like issues.
It's challenging to find a reason to go to a movie these days. Even TV, we can watch it at home. There's still so many things on that are just really, you watch them and you're like, did I just lose 2 hours on that? Oh my goodness. But anyway, I didn't call to complain. I just wanted to give my 2 cents on the topic, and it's good seeing you guys together again, and looking forward to every week when we do this again. Stay sexy. Bye-bye.
Thank you, voice.
Thank you.
Truly, but she makes a good point in the sense, Tony, that not just going out to TV, the entertainment landscape, when we go to like the movies, and I was talking about so many things to do on a Saturday night, even though most nights I just sit at home and play video games and watch the television because I don't have a partner in crime to go out with. But there are so many options of things to do. And when you sink 2 hours into something, or you sink a few hours into watching a new series, you have to delegate your time. It's tough. It's tough to judge time like that. But yeah, it's a time sink, and movies are special, and it's a risk. You're always rolling the dice if you're gonna like the movie.
It's not the date movie it used to be. Maybe it is for children, but for adults, it's just not that date movie, especially with the Netflix and chill thing going on. People rather do that than take on a date. Like, we go on a date. Let's go to the movie. That used to be the old movie.
Yeah,
you go out to dinner, you go to a movie. Dinner and a movie. Now at this generation, dinner and a movie is really dinner and then back to my place to watch some Netflix or whatever.
Yeah, to stream a show or something.
Yeah, it's taken that over. That has taken over from that whole thing, and I think that's the way it goes for movies. I think that's taken away from it, because many a times I will take a woman out and we'll go out. Listen. Ladies, like, you go out first date. Yeah, listen, I'll meet you at Applebee's real quick. And we go to Applebee's and we have a couple of drinks, and those girls like those Applebee's drinks. They can front like they don't, but they do. They love them damn Applebee's drinks. And
they're delicious. I love them too, Tony. They're delicious. I'm a cheap, but again, if you're going on a first date, you're more likely to go to do something rather than a movie, because it's more opportunity to talk. Again, these aren't exciting first dates, but bowling if she's into it, pool, something where you're physically actually doing something and have an engagement in conversation. A movie ultimately isn't a good date because you're sitting there for 2 hours not talking. It's more of something you go to someone you're already a partner with.
Yeah, you know, they have the old school.
Oh.
Get your arm around the girl and you do all that stuff.
That's better on like a second or third date where you can make fun of yourself doing that. Like, oh, let's go to a movie or something like that. Like, it's not a good first date.
You know.
Yawn. Oh, how's it going?
Yeah, you know.
Oh, popcorn. Pulling the popcorn.
Yeah, it runs up over there and stuff. You know, that's what it is. But it's, I mean, again,
What was your go-to? Two questions. What was the last movie you actually saw in the theater? And number two, what is your movie theater snack go-to if you're to get something at the movie theater to eat? Like, what's your go-to snack? And I'll answer.
I always get popcorn every time because I'm in the movie theater, so you have to have.
I get popcorn, but I add a little special. I get M&Ms too, and then I'll throw the M&Ms inside the popcorn.
Yeah, always get that, and usually I'll get Milk Duds because that's the only time I'll ever eat them in my life.
Yeah,
I'll get they stick to your whole jaw.
They're so good, but you have to be careful and go slow with them. But no, they're not as bad as Jujubes. Jujubes are the worst. They're the worst.
I'll take that and everything else. The Wolf Spear.
Carla does the same. You do the M&Ms in the hot popcorn, and then they melt, and then when you get down the bottom, the M&Ms in the popcorn bite is so freaking perfect. It's so perfect.
I've never done that. Wolf Spear, take a woman on the first date, and she's sucking down apple martinis and margaritas. She came to play. Hey, listen, you take them to Applebee's and watch those big blue shark drinks go down.
In the second part of my question, Tony, what was the last movie you saw in the theater?
I maybe Top Gun Maverick. I think that's the only thing I can think of that I went to go see Top Gun Maverick. I had to go see it for the hype, and I went out there to see it. I think that was it, the last one I went to go see.
Yeah. Oppenheimer for me, but before that, I can't even remember.
And all that good stuff. All right, let's get up out of here. It's over an hour. We'll play KP's. I'll pay you first thing next week. We'll play KP's calls. That's what we'll start it off with and everything else. I know, we got to keep this to an hour. Again, we'll be back here next Monday, 7 p.m. every week, talking about the latest box office this week. Again, get ready for Friday night. I'll be doing the Changeling. Hopefully, we'll get some Changeling live streams jumping off after that. Hopefully, if it's successful, we'll do that and everything else. Me and Phil got something else that we're talking about, but we got details and everything else.
Yeah, we got to figure that out. I will also be live on Thursday evening around 6:30, 7 o'clock, talking about the Sopranos episode, season 4, episode 3. The episode's Christopher. It's considered the worst Sopranos episode, and we're going to be watching it. It's the one with the Columbus Day parade and stuff like that. It's considered one of the worst episodes. I think it's ranked on the Soprano list as the worst episode of the entire series.
Think about the Sopranos. I mean, I'll go on your show and talk about the Sopranos. We got to get out of here, but is that the Sopranos? Tony killed this whole crew.
He did, except for Paulie, but he tried.
Except for Paulie, but everyone else, and Bobby Bacala. But if you go through everyone else on the crew, he's the one who did it.
Yep, or he's responsible for it in some way, shape, or form. And I'll absolutely have you on. I was going to have you on my HBO tiers list podcast, but timing didn't work out as you were writing that.
No, we'll definitely talk about that.
I'll have you on something soon. We got to catch up and finally do our Golden Girls podcast.
I promise you, KP. Next week I'll prop it up. I think we just have to get out of there. I keep it. Yeah, but I promise you, okay, I got you.
Yeah, Tony and I can easily then bang, and we're doing a 3-hour spot. We're trying to keep this to under an hour and a half.
No doubt about it. All right, if you like the way we do this, please thumbs up this, spread this across the realm, and as always, subscribe. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace and stay sexy.